You've overwhelmingly voted for it, so today we begin our look at the first edition Pathfinder Oracle. Hello there everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, where I am happy and beyond excited to begin digging into first edition Pathfinder Oracles and just giving you a breakdown on how the class functions and what would be an ideal build for them. Not necessarily the most broken or game-changing of builds, but still something that'll be useful, maybe pop in a few extra insights for those of you who may be veteran players, or perhaps just pique your interest for a class that is truly unique amongst the other array of options that we have standing before us. But before we begin to get into any of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now let's start talking about these oracles, where we are never going to lack for vision. So, when it comes to building any character, whatever class you're going into, one of the things that you're gonna really need to consider is the race that you're going to select, because the different races overall will help to lean into the different mechanics of the class overall. So this is the base, the core, the foundation of what you're doing. Although I should mention here pretty quick that these guides are just guides. That's all they are. They're to be taken with a grain of salt. If you have an idea for a character that just doesn't fit mechanically overall, it's not mathematically what would be the most effective option, go with what you have in mind. Go with what's going to be the most fun and present the most interesting story for you, your friends, and your DM. And also, as always, check with your DM for what it is you're building, because sometimes you may stumble into something that is just absolutely broken, whether it's overpoweredly broken or rendering you stupid and useless kind of broken. But now, okay, with all that done and said, let's actually start talking about the races you want to pick from. And as always, they are going to be a contender. They're going to be effective wherever they go. They're irrepressible. We have humans. As a human, you gain a +2 bonus to any stat, and we're going to throw that into our prime stat. You also get bonus skill ranks and an extra feat just for being human. And the favored class bonus that you get for being human is that you get to add one spell known from the Oracle spell list, one level below the highest the Oracle can cast. Having a wider array of spells, a broadening bevy, a veritable buffet of damage dealing, utility, and effectiveness is always going to be great. But something to consider picking up would be comprehensive education. All knowledge skills become class skills and gain a +1 racial bonus on knowledge skills that they gain as class skills through class levels. Now, this is something you'd be trading out for your bonus skill ranks that you get at first level and every other level thereafter. This would be pretty handy overall, although I think the extra skill ranks is a little bit more of a broader utility, allowing you to specialize and mix and match, especially if as an oracle you want to be the party's face. But if you're looking to be more utility with your skills, not just a face, but have just that broad array of knowledge available to you, then making all the knowledge skills as class skills and gaining a bonus on top of it is going to be useful, because any ranks that you do gain, the first time you put a skill rank into your class skill, which all the knowledge skills become, you gain a +3 miscellaneous modifier as a bonus to that skill. So that's pretty damn valuable overall, and really that just that weights it a considerable bit. The only hindrance, and it's a very petty one overall, is that you just lose a little bit of your customization, but the effectiveness you get out of it is undeniable. The next option to consider would be Halflings. Halflings gain a +2 bonus to Charisma and Dexterity, both stats that you want to have pumped up and effective, and a -2 to your Strength, which we can afford to take a hit on. Now, your speed is 20 feet, but you're going to be a spellcaster, so you have ways of getting around that, especially as you move on down the line. You'll also gain a +1 size bonus to your armor class and attack rolls, a -1 penalty to combat maneuver bonuses and combat maneuver defense, a +4 size bonus to your stealth, a +2 save versus fear, +1 to all of your saves, and a +2 racial bonus to acrobatics, climb, and perception. And perception in particular there is an incredibly important skill. No matter what your class, it is the single most rolled skill in the entirety of Pathfinder. So it's great that you get that, and it doesn't hurt that you have a bonus to acrobatics or climb either. Now, the only place you really slip up is your favored class bonus. Add 1/2 your oracle level to determine curse effects, curse effects overall. Depending on your curse, extra hit points or skill ranks may be the way to go, and curses are fundamentally tied to another class mechanic, the mystery that you specialize into, and your mystery really helps to dictate a lot of your other skills, other class benefits that you derive, so that's something we'll be digging into. But depending on the curse, you could either really be crippling yourself or not doing that much damage overall, so this one can kind of slip you up a little bit, but the bonuses and the benefits that you get out of going halfling are generally pretty worth it. So, and also you don't have to take the favored class bonus that enhances curse effects. You can go with the extra hit points or skill ranks, which are a viable option. And then next we have the half-elf. They're about as good as humans are overall. +2 bonus to any stat, you're immune to sleep effects, +2 to save versus enchantment. You take dual-minded to replace adaptability for +2 will saves, +2 perception, low light vision, and you take the human favored class bonus, which expands the number of spells that you get available to you. Next, we have dwarves, and dwarves are kind of an okay option. You gain a +2 bonus to your constitution and wisdom scores, and a -2 to charisma, which really hurts you overall as a spellcaster, and charisma being your spellcasting stat. Your movement speed is 20 feet, although you do get an excellent 60-foot dark vision. You also gain a +4 armor class bonus versus the giant subtype, which covers, well, giants, trolls, ogres, and the like. Common enough, but it's so specific that it's nice to have it when it does come up, but otherwise, it doesn't really do a whole lot for you. But you do get a +2 racial bonus on saving throws versus poisons, spells, and spell-like abilities. You also gain a +4 racial bonus to combat maneuver defense versus bull rush and trip attacks while standing on the ground, a +1 racial bonus on attack rolls versus orc and goblinoid subtypes, which are, again, fairly common, but by the time you hit the higher levels, that's not going to be the most useful bonus, but again, doesn't hurt to have. You'll also be proficient with battle axes, heavy picks, warhammers, and any weapon with the word Dwarven in its name. And your favorite class bonus, you get to reduce your non-proficient penalties with one weapon by one. And if you keep stacking that, once at 0, the Oracle is treated as having the proficiency feat with that specific weapon. Overall, not great. Hit points and skill ranks are going to be your preferred method. Oracles are proficient with all simple weapons, and throwing in the battle axes, picks, and warhammers, and anything with the word Dwarven in it does a lot to expand your options pretty well there as it is, but dwarves make for okay oracles. Again, if this is something specifically you have in mind for your build, then go with it. Absolutely, there can be Dwarven oracles, but from a purely mechanics standpoint, that -2 penalty to charisma does hurt you a lot, since you will be very dependent on your spellcasting, since you are a full spellcasting class. But, of course, we have more to cover here for you. We also have to talk about the traits that you want to select. And with the traits, it's really hard to pick out which ones are going to be the most effective for an oracle, because, as I said before, your oracle abilities are dictated quite a bit by which mystery you go with. So you may be more of a utility caster, you may be going into more of a melee build, or tank, or just any number of other options. So you really want to have an idea in mind ahead of time and try to select traits that are going to lean into the build you're going for. However, the ones that are on offer here are still going to be useful for most any build. And we start off with traits like Reactionary, which gives you a +2 trait bonus to initiative. So that'll stack with feats like Improved Initiative, your Dexterity bonus, all of that. So it comes together pretty nicely, and being a caster, having that bonus to your initiative, ensuring that you go higher in the initiative order, is going to be paramount and incredibly useful for you. The next we have is Desperate Focus. You gain a +2 bonus to your concentration checks. Definitely useful, especially if you're going to be casting anywhere near close to the front line. Gaining that bonus to ensure that you are able to make your concentration checks, especially if you take a hit, will be handy to have. Then we also have Dangerously Curious. It's a +1 bonus to Use Magic Device, and Use Magic Device becomes a class skill. It's not a class skill for you, and because you have a good charisma score, this meshes really nicely and helps to expand your options pretty reliably. And I double checked this time, Use Magic Device is not typically a class skill for oracles. And lastly, for traits, we have Birthmark. You gain a +2 bonus on saves versus charms and compulsion effects, and your body counts as a divine focus. Very thematic all the way around, and a +2 bonus on saves versus charms and compulsions is great. You do have a good wisdom, or a goodwill saving throw as it is, but a little extra boost never hurts. And also, if your DM is the kind of person that will steal things like your divine focus through whatever means they have available to them, this will be pretty handy. Now, the last thing we need to discuss today is the stat array, and overall, you're going to want to try to follow this as closely as you can. And really, we're not dumpstering anything with this particular build today. Strength is going to be at a 14, although moderately lower priority. However, Dexterity and Constitution, you do want to try to keep pumped up a little bit there, but we do have both of these at 14s as well, which gains you a +2 bonus from each. Not bad overall. Intelligence and Wisdom are both going to be at 10s. I didn't want to do anything to tank our skill ranks or any of our saving throws overall. Lastly, Charisma is the one that we are focusing on, starting off at a 16 right here. Now, this is before we apply any racial modifiers to stats. So, a human, the half-elf, or the halfling all will end up with a charisma score of 18. Pretty damn respectable starting off at level 1. However, this does assume that you're going with a 25-point buy-in for your stats. If you have a different point buy or you're rolling for your stats, follow this priority guide for assigning your stats. And also, again, I cannot reiterate this or specify it enough. If you have a specific idea for the build that you want to go with that may not be mechanically the most effective, then go with that. This guide is just meant to help you. It's meant to be a fun little thing to introduce you to a class and get an idea of how it functions and how the different pieces work together. It's nothing meant to be set in stone. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Either way, hit those like or dislike buttons and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below so we can engage in discussion. And remember, if you're new here to the channel, then go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.